I want to talk about Robert's companies a little bit more, and I want to talk about the first. You mentioned some of the industries that you're in, so if you can give an overview of just the different things that you're currently doing, but then I want to talk about if there's any type of core skill set or interwoven like factor or skill or whatever, or just thing that brings everything together in a unifying type of way, right? In terms of like, is there like, for example, I know some companies that, are doing this complex stuff. It's all about systems and creating great systems. But for you all, what
Yes.
is that? So what are you currently in, and what's that? Is there a woven fabric, to what it is that you do?
Yeah, right now I'm more focused on the commercial real estate components, leasing and marketing retail space to attract tenants. Also construction components. So, if we go in and purchase a lot of times we like to, well, you try to buy low and sell high kind of concepts. You want, we like value add opportunities. And what that means is, you want to get in at a good price. You really kind of make your money on the purchase, if you know what I mean, retroactively. So, we look for good deals to go in, but also value add deals. So we also look at the community that the building is in, and try to find ways that we can restore that building and bring jobs to that community. And we're very particular about creating jobs from people right there in the community. And that's where I think construction is a really easy place to do that. People that can help with demoing the walls and painting and mudding and taping and all those type of things. So, and then also when we find tenants, a lot of times retailers have a program to be kind of inclusive of making sure they hire people from the surrounding community for their actual retail. So, if it's like a mobile, PCS type company or just a restaurant or a food and beverage or auto parts or something like that, I'm noticing that the bigger companies are a lot more aware of the importance of supporting the community with jobs. It just helps. So it has a tremendous impact in areas, because at the end of the day, if people are making more money and people are kind of rising out of poverty, crime rates go down. People are healthier. They can buy better food. They can go send their children to better schools and things of that nature. The neighborhoods just clean up. Everybody's just happier. So we take all those components in consideration always where we're going. And then and on the hotel component, I'm 24/7 overseeing hotel operations. So
How many
I'm
hotels do you guys have?
right now we have a couple hotels. I mean, but we've bought and sold probably about 14, 15 hotels over the
Got you.
last
Okay.
15 years. So real estate, it's just ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. But the hotel up in Detroit that we have, Roberts Riverwalk Hotel, what I did was I created an independent operation system. So I interfaced cloud-based applications to speak to each other. So, you have the front desk system, the food and beverage system, you have the sales and events lead management system, and I've interfaced them. So always on my phone, always on my computer, I'm rate managing, responding to leads, responding to maybe customer issues, communicating with the OTAs, which online travel agents, which is like booking.com, Priceline, always communicating with them. So it's just a constant moving kind of components that are happening all at one time. But that's what I'm working on with the family business. With irealtyfirm.com, I'll take on some clients from time to time just to keep those skill sets fresh. Tenant representation, where I'll go out and find vacant retail spaces on the market for them, negotiate the deal, just kind of help navigate and consult from A to Z, or list a property for sale. So, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. That's pretty much keeps me busy outside of having, 3 children. and my wife.
Yeah,
So
I bet you that keeps you busy too, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
you
three
know about
children and a
that.
wife would definitely keep your schedule full.
Yes,
I mean, so then, all right. So, what I heard then is that, a foundational thing is, finding those good deals,
yes,
right?
it is.
For, what is that you're doing in the real estate industry. And then once you find those good deals, there's certain management systems and components that you need to put in place, to make sure that you can actualize on that particular investment.
That's right.
Um, Now that leads me to the question: what is the hardest part of your job? What is the most challenging piece of your job?
Well, obviously, that, that could be a multifaceted question, even though it's one question. Um, I would say really just kind of shuffling through all the opportunities out there, because there's a lot of, like they call them offering memorandums, where you have to read 100 pages of data and analyzing the data, and you you could be looking at, probably out of 100 deals, you may just get two that you actually hone in on. And then after, kind of like, okay, let's go after this one. Now you have to draft a LOI, or memorandum of understanding. You have to kind of work through some of the initial terms, and then you have to segue into, let's say it's a purchase agreement. You have to navigate and negotiate all those detailed provisions there. So it's pretty intense. And then you sign, but then you have to go through your due diligence period, which can be 90 days, it could be 120 days, it could be even a year. So all throughout that time, you have to be very patient, because all kind of things happen. During your due diligence period, you're also performing, let's call it environmental tests. See, telling all the audience out there, you have to do your due diligence. I mean, you have to budget some money to the side to make sure you're testing every component of that property, because you may find something that you don't like, or you may get stuck with if you don't do it. So environmental testing it's called a phase one. And phase one kind of gives you kind of just some basic idea of what environmental issues may be present. What I mean by environmental issues would be, is there mold? Is there black mold present, which can be very toxic, and it could be all behind the walls and the ceiling and the floor. Um, Very dangerous stuff. I've definitely walked in a lot of buildings where I almost just passed out, just because it was like, boom, mold spores. And then you have radon, and there might be storage tanks under the ground, because back in the day there was a gas station there, or there might be a lot of rubble and lead underground. And these things could be seeping into the water that's going into the building. So you can only imagine being stuck with all that, because you may not get your occupancy permit without digging all that stuff out. They call it remediation, which basically means removing these environmental components out of the building. So now that could kill a deal, or you can use it to leverage as a negotiating tool to bring let's say your offer price down from what it was. So those things can be pretty challenging. And so once again, you got to develop a really high level of patience for it, because I mean, on commercial deals, there's rarely a deal that didn't take 9 months or a year or a year and a half, and it may just fail. It just may not work out. So, and that's very common in the commercial world. And then even after you purchase the building, then what do? You're probably gonna have a phase of construction. So you got to bid out the opportunity to all the various contractors. You got to vet them all out, go read through all their proposals, negotiate, et cetera. And then whoever you select, then you got to oversee the construction. I think we all know, especially those that have ever renovated their homes or done any flip projects, that you have to watch the construction folks until you build a good rapport with them. That it can delay your project significantly and be very costly too. So you can even lose on that phase. You might bought it at a great deal, but then the construction stuff just really went south on you. So you gotta actually be in there. You gotta watch. You gotta oversee that. That has to get done. And then let's say you go into a press release, ribbon cutting, and all that type of stuff. So look how much I just said before you even get the project done. So I would say a lot of the challenges are there. Then you got to market the property. You got to lease out, let's say, the apartments or sell the condos, or you got to market and marketing alone is another just completely separate and vitally important part of the future success of the business. A lot of people don't understand how important marketing is. I mean, you should be budgeting at least 15, if not more, % of your annual budget to marketing, because you can build a beautiful building and it'll just sit empty because you think people are just going to look at it and like, oh, I want to move there. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to market. You got to spend money, and get the tenants in. So just give you a little snapshot.